In daily uses of the smartphone, we encounter a very awkward situation where the Samsung Galaxy just stand at the logo without advancing at all. Or sometimes there is a red mark like blocked by FRP or the Android saying no command. Or what we can do, we can go to the service center and they usually tell us that it is the problem of the mainboard, and they say I should replace this mainboard, and the cost of a mainboard is almost equal to the price of the phone in Amazon or AliExpress or eBay. In a Windows PC case, one usually reformat the disk and install new window copy and wiping out the old data. In our case of the Samsung Galaxy, we also wipe out the old data, just like the formatting the disk. And just like in the PC, instead of the new copy of a window, we flash new firmware upon our device. The motherboard of the PC has a different BIOS, and the BIOS is a firmware. In a different model of a Samsung Galaxy, we have a different firmware. Fire is crucial for evolution of human species. But on the other hand, fire can be fatal. The firmware is extremely important to understanding of smartphone, but the dealing with the firmware should be very careful. You need to listen to the end of this YouTube, especially the frequently asked question FAQ at the end of this YouTube. There are many question and answers which may be very important for you to properly understand the flashing the firmware. So you have to be self-reliant, and one should be responsible to himself in dealing with the firmware, just like the fire. You cannot simply imitate other people. You need to understand yourself the basics. To obtain the right BIOS, in the case of a PC, one consults this manufacturer of the mainboard. In a Samsung Galaxy, we consult the manufacturer of the Galaxy, that is a Samsung, and when you Google like the model number, firmware download, then it shows that the sammobile.com, and then you can choose your model. For example, in this particular example, we have a Samsung Prime model, and that is a SM-G611L. And we choose this firmware. And also Samsung has a different model number detailing each country and its subscriber model. So we choose this model and the country specific name, then we download this file. The file size is above the 5 GB, so it takes a few minutes to download this firmware. When the Galaxy is connected to your desktop, like a PC or Mac or Ubuntu, you need a tool to download to the smartphone through the USB. And the tool is Odin, created by the Samsung to flash the firmware upon the smartphone. There are two tools. One is the Odin, and another popular one is Heimdall, spelled as H-E-I-M-D-A-L-L. The Heimdall was created by the reverse engineering the Odin, and its source code is written in a C++, is available in a GitHub. So we can simply read this C++ code and extend as we wish. So it's much more versatile. And the Himmler has also the partition table information, so that can be extremely useful when we want to revise or modify this stock ROM a little bit into custom ROM to bypass the Google Lock of factory reset protection, or if we want to bypass the screen passcode. So that can be extremely useful tools. To connect the smartphone to PC to use the Odin flash tools, the smartphone should enter into download mode. The way to enter the download mode is, first we turn off the smartphone, but if it is in a brick state, you have already in the awkward mode. In that case, just press volume down, power, and the home button together. If you have a latest model, the home button is replaced by the Bixby button. So press volume down, power, and the Bixby button together until you have this download mode. And once you have a download mode, the Odin tool shows the green color in the ID :com section. So when you have this ID .com section in green, you are ready to upload all the files which you have downloaded from the Sun Mobile. You first upload the BL, which is bootloader, and the bootloader is the first process initiated. And the next one is AP processor, Android processor, which has information about the Android phone. And that has the very, very important boot.image. So when you tinker with your smartphone, for example, to bypass the factory reset protection, you modify the property of the boot.image, and then you repack it, and then you flash this modified boot.image to your smartphone. This is extremely, I think, the best method to unlock your phones. And then next one is a CP, which concerns mainly with the telephony property. So it's a modem.binary. And then the last one is a CSC, the country specific code, which has a cache and a hidden image. All of them can be just decompressed by using the 7-zip. So when you first unzip this firmware, you have 5, the BL, AP, CP, CSC, and the home CSC. And then if you decompress this BL again, then it generates the several other binary code. So you can ask this question, and then the answer is provided at the end of this YouTube. So when all these 4 files are uploaded to the Odin, then you can start the flashing process by pushing the button start. It takes about 5 minutes. It goes through the uploading each binary and the image to the correct partition. And then when it is finished, then they show the path as a green light. Then it is success. Then you can reboot the system, and then you can start selecting the language and connect the Wi-Fi, and then you can skip most of the process because you may want to do several other tests. So I think that you may reboot several times again, so you may just skip everything to the end and the completion stage. There may be several questions concerning this flashing firmware. The firmware is the most important part in the Android system because it connects the hardware to the application through this firmware. It goes through the process of the kernel, and then zygote, and then the DAVIC, and then the application. So it is the crucial step. Now, one thing you can imagine is that if when you flash with a new stock ROM, then perhaps the FRP may be removed. Now, situation is this. The Google introduced this FRP, Factory Reset Protection Lock, to prevent theft. So they put the persistent file in the directory /dev/block/platform. So they put the persistent file which is not touched by the flashing firmware. So just the flashing the stock ROM, which is downloaded from the sammobile.com, does not remove the factory reset protection. Now there are ways to remove this factory reset. Now first, you modify the boot.image, because the boot.image contains all the property of ADB. So if you modify the property of ADB by aligning as a root and then in a debugable mode, then you can change the property of the boot.image, and then you can indeed remove the FRP very easily using the Odin or the Himdall. This is, I think, the best method to remove the FRP. So we'll discuss them later. But using the stock ROM, just downloaded from the Samsung sammobile.com, does not remove the FRP. To remove the FRP, we have to modify the boot.image, which is included in an AP processor, Android processor, and then modify the property of the ADB, and then repack into the boot.image, and then we refresh this Android process again, then we can really remove the FRP. So which is extremely powerful technique. And then second question is, can you remove the passcode or screen lock or the fingerprint? Now they can be removed because they are stored in data system locking database. So when you wipe out the old data, this security database, which is located in a data system locking DB, is also removed. But when the device is synced with the Google account, then this locking database is also linked to this persistent file, and then it may not be removed. Now also this file can be easily removed by the modifying this firmware, and then the flashing the modified firmware. So I think also this one is the best method to remove the passcode. So in this sense, the Odin, the flashing firmware tool, or the Himdall, which is the same as the Odin, but it contains many more features, so it can be more useful tools to tinker with the smartphone. The next question is, why there are so many models and why there are so many firmware depending on each model? The reason is the following. The Google has the Android open software project, and the many vendors, including the largest Samsung, is included in this AOSP project. Now Google has the framework, Android framework, which is evolved from the Linux system. But the smartphone is not a computer. The computer is all the time connected to the power, but the smartphone is not connected to the power all the time. It's mobile. So the power management and the battery is extremely important in the case of Android. So many modifications have been introduced in the Android, which deviate significantly from the Linux. And furthermore, most of the notebook just contained the microphone, speaker, and just several sensors. But the smartphone have evolved to include many more sensors like a GPS sensor, accelerometer, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, near-field communication, and many more the sensors included there. So the firmware evolves very rapidly, and each vendor has a different firmware. And also the AT&T or the different subscribe company, telecommunication company, has different demands for the manufacturer. So each vendor introduced the model depending on the CPU and the baseband, and then they have a specific modification just satisfying the demands by the AT&T or the Sprint. So they have all different hardware, and the firmware differs for each country also. So there are a huge number of the firmware. So we have to choose the right model of the model, which is usually the SM-N is Note, and then S is the S series, and the J is the J series, and the A is another popular series, and then model number, and including the country specific code. So that's the reason why there are so many firmware, and it is very important to choose the right firmware. If you flash the wrong firmware to the smartphone becomes bricked. It's just like choosing different BIOS to different motherboard model. Then your PC would not work. So flashing the wrong firmware upon your smartphone just doesn't work. So you have to choose the right firmware. If you have a specific problem requiring a specific development, then we'll provide this service to you. You can contact us through the Telegram or KakaoTalk. And if you happen to visit Seoul, South Korea, then you can visit our shop, which is near the second exit of Chongryangri station.